Hey, what's up, everyone? So the last few days has been crazy for the channel, as it went from 500 subscribers to 1,000 in like 72 hours. It took me about 6 months to get 500, and I did a sub video for reaching 500 that was about the top 5 presidents that would do a good job handling the current coronavirus pandemic. But I was not really ready for 1,000 subscriber, hitting the 1,000 subscriber mark because that was only like 3 days. So I thought about how could I combine something I do to relax a little bit with AP content. And I came up with a Let's Play video in which I'll talk about some tips for the AP test and some other random stuff. I'll do the AP tips first though. So, if you don't care about the other random stuff, that could be your jumping off point. Okay, so let's get into some AP tips. We're about 9 days away from the AP test, and I'm sure some of you have AP tests for other classes as well that might even be earlier. One thing that I think is really important and underrated for the AP test is getting into a good schedule and getting good sleep. I'm sure most of you have not been in school for around 2 months now, and I bet some of your schedules are way off. Staying up till 3, 4 a.m., maybe 5 a.m., watching Netflix, randomly scrolling through Instagram, playing video games and such, and you're waking up every day around 11 a.m., noon. Heck, maybe some of you have even gone full vampire and just sleep through the day. Which, hey, I'm not blaming you. I would have too if I was a teen in the current situation. I'd probably have lost all concept of time and couldn't even tell you what day of the week it is, or maybe even what month it is. So it's important to get back on a good schedule, and it'll just be for a week or two. There are a million studies that show good sleep habits improve cognitive function. That means how well your brain works. Also, look at it this way: a good night's sleep could literally mean the difference between passing and not passing, getting college credit and not getting it. Okay, my next big tip: get your timing down. I talked about this on my video that was entitled Guaranteeing at Least a 3, but I just want to emphasize it again. I just did some practice DBQs with my students in which they had the 45-minute time to write and 5-minute to upload limit. And they all said the one thing to work on and be aware of was that time factor. A lot of you out there will not have the opportunity for practice tests proctored by your teacher because of the situation. So you need to practice on your own, and getting your timing down is really key. The College Board has just released a couple of practice DBQs and they're the 2020 version with just 5 docs. They have those on their YouTube page. There's been one I think was just yesterday, and the other one was a couple of days ago. So if you scroll through their YouTube feed, you should be able to see it in there. Um, and you can, in the video information, you can actually find the documents, and they do the prompt on the screen, and it's like 50 minutes, and so they're trying to actually replicate the testing conditions, so check those out. So if you're lacking for resources right now, that'd be a place to go. And if you want to know my opinion for what your spread of time should be, I think 7 to 10 minutes of analyzing the documents and the prompt, getting down the main ideas of the documents, possibly the hip and everything, and then 35 minutes on writing. I think that if you're spending more than 10 minutes, you might really be cutting into your ability to write and get enough information down for all those points. Okay, next I want to get into some random topics about the AP test in general and a few other things. First thing about the AP test was there was a push, and I think still going on, to cancel the tests. And even there's been some articles in newspapers about it, like in the Washington Post. The overall reason is because it is not fair and equitable for some students. In some school districts, class was completely canceled, and students have not had any contact with their teachers. Unlike in my district, where we have distance learning, and the district has tried to make sure as best as possible all the students have access to um, our our system that we put all our assignments in, Canvas and Google Classroom and everything. And you may not know, but and some students may not know that the test has changed formats, or they may not even know how to best prepare for it. So, there are a few other situations too. Some students may not have the resources for it, like internet access, or their home environment might be incredibly chaotic. I mean, some of you listening right now, this might be your situation too. If you have younger siblings, it might be really difficult to find a quiet place in your house to be able to focus and concentrate on the test. And there's also just kind of the overall stress of the current situation we're in with coronavirus. And finally, the test is going to be given at the same time for every student around the world. There are some students in international schools, and I actually worked in international schools. I worked in Guatemala for a couple of years and in Thailand for a couple of years before coming back to Wisconsin, where I now currently am. But those students in some of these international schools, they take AP tests as well. And the time is going to be the same across the entire world. So I believe it's 2 a.m. or not 2 a.m., 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, that'd be noon Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific. Okay, so that's great for all the students in the continental US. But those students who are like in India or Thailand, it's at like 3 in the morning. And so that kind of makes it, that's like another added level of difficulty for them as well. So, with all that being said, I'm still on the side that the test should be given because the opportunity the test provides for so many students. If you cancel the test, then the ability to get credit for college and save a ton of money for hardworking students, I mean, that's totally gone. And so all canceling the test would do is just take away opportunity. Now, I do not know for certain, but if I had a guess, I think the vast majority of students will be able to take the test and will have a good opportunity to pass and get college credit. Also, and this is kind of like maybe I should have included this in key information before, but the College Board is going to be pretty lenient. They said they're going to be pretty lenient. If there are any problems with your test on the day that on the day that we're all taking it on May 15th, they're going to be pretty lenient with allowing kids to take the makeup exam. So if your internet cuts out, or possibly like you just had a horrible testing environment, maybe, I'm not sure, they're going to look at every single case, but you can immediately file to retake or the makeup or whatever that's in June. So, they're trying their best, I think, to give everyone the best opportunity to pass the test. Now, I do not want to sound like the College Board is like this great benevolent organization and they've created the perfect solution. I'm not saying that at all. I realize that the College Board, like they're trying to save their own hides by still doing the test and not having to refund millions and millions of dollars. That might wreck their organization. So like this is a decent solution. And as long as the College Board tech works on that day when they have, millions of people on there on the platform submitting tests, as long as it works, millions of students will still have the opportunity for college credit and many will receive college credit, which is, that's the payoff for students who are challenging themselves by taking difficult AP courses, suffering through all the content, the essay writing, the papers, while their friends who are in regular US history are just breezing through the year, watching movies and taking easy tests. Okay, before any teachers get mad, I'm just joking. Yeah, somewhat. All right. That is enough of the AP test talk. Let's talk a little bit about gaming and Mario Kart. So I'm not a gamer. Well, at least not anymore. I played a lot in high school and college, which would be the late 90s and early 2000s. In college, there were many nights of Mario Kart battles with friends that combined with some firewater, it got pretty intense. There were other games I played as well. My all-time favorites are Tecmo Super Bowl and Final Fantasy VII. Once I got into teaching, gaming pretty much ended. There was a short window there where I had an Xbox. I was living in Guatemala, and a teacher who was quitting the school had this. I don't know. I think you call it a modified Xbox. Basically, I didn't have to put any games in. The machine itself just had like 50 games in it. And I actually played. I can't remember what hockey game it was, but I had some Canadian friends, and they'd come over, and we'd just play hockey games a lot. But that only lasted for about a year. So and it took a while for me to actually get a smartphone. I did. I think my first smartphone was an iPhone 6. And when I got that, then yeah, I put some apps on it. Not a whole lot though. It's not filled up with gaming apps. So I actually now I don't have a gaming system at all, and I haven't had one for a long time. Now, the one app that I really got into on the iPhone, and then I carried that over into Android as well, was Clash of Clans. I played that for several years. I had a totally maxed out Town Hall all the way to Town Hall 12. And I stayed with the game when they introduced Town Hall 13, and I was working on maxing that out too. But that was like 5 years, and like just I don't know how many hours I wasted on Clash of Clans. It was too many. If I had like put those hours into like let's say playing the guitar, I'd be a fantastic guitarist by this point. Um, so and some pressure from the wife and everything like that, and I finally did give up Clash of Clans. It wasn't easy though, man. It was like trying to quit smoking or something. It took a couple different times where I deleted it and then loaded it back on, played for another couple months, deleted again. But it's been permanently deleted now for about a year or so. Um, so earlier this school year, though, some of my students told me about Mario Kart coming to smartphones and everything. So I had to check it out, and I downloaded it, and I like it a lot. I don't play it nearly as much as Clash of Clans, thankfully, or my wife would be really mad. But it's like a good game. It's not as good as the N64 Mario Kart that I remember, but it's fun. And the nice thing is, it doesn't take too much time. I log in a few times a day when I need a break from work, when I need a break from my kids, do a couple races, log off, and it's not that addicting either. Unlike Clash was. And their tours are great. But the one thing I do wish about Mario Kart was that I wish they'd make their global multiplayer better. It just takes too long to get going. It crashes often. When you sign on and you get your players, sometimes like you're waiting a long time for like it to just kick into the race. And then when you get the race done, it takes a long time sometimes to like show the results and everything and move on to the next race. Where like when you do the tour, it just right away, boom, you're in. That's really smooth. And I also like they do bombard you with like buy this, buy that. And the crazy thing, like including Clash of Clans, I've never actually paid for any in-app purchases or actually never any paid for any game app at all. I know a lot of people say like, oh, with Clash of Clans, how did you max out without having to pay for anything? I was like, well, I just played way too much. That's how. And I was there from like the early days too. It was really hard. If you got into Clash like 3, 4 years after it already started, it was incredibly difficult to like max out your town hall. Like you're just so far behind. There's so many things you need to do. But Mario Kart, I'm not really that worried about like progressing or anything, and it's just fun to just kind of relax, throw it on, do a couple races, turn it off, and whatever. Okay, so okay, I want to wrap things up right now. If you got some other requests for types of videos you want me to do, feel free to put those in the comments. I don't really want to repeat anything that's already being done by other APUSH YouTubers. Like, for instance, I saw a few comments about like, hey, can you do like a thing about contextualization? Heimler's history already has that. But if you have some other things that you're really struggling with as far as the AP test goes, and they haven't really been done, or you just like to see my take on it, yeah, go ahead, post it in the comments below. Also, if did you like the Let's Play AP tips? Hey, I could make another one of these and come up with a few more tips. And I have a few other ideas for other types of topics to do as well that are not like normal topics. Like for instance, one I got bouncing around in my head is just like, all right, well, what would be like a good kind of like meal plan for the day of the AP test? What would like be the best as far as like, brain food to have to put you in like the best kind of mindset for the AP test. And a few other things bouncing around too. But at some point, I want to get back to what this channel was originally about, which was making videos that are common primary sources in AP US history, where I analyze them, I talk about their historical context, I talk about their point of view, and the main points of those. And I want to get back to doing that pretty soon. But thanks for watching the subscriber video. If you're a subscriber, hey, thanks for being one of the 1,000 so far.